Have Shelley Smith, and she is an instructional technology specialist in her district in Indiana. Do you want to share anything else about yourself, Shelley?
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited to be here. I am pretty new to the instructional coaching role in my district, and UDL is a big focus for us. So I thought a great way to showcase the UDL and book creator would be to have a makeover of our previous slides. And so there are four of us in our district. We have about 16,000 students, and we rotate in and out of buildings every couple of weeks.
Awesome. Well, I hope that I'm going to give you some ideas of what you can do with Book Creator and also how you can take this UDL lesson to the next level. This you can see my book, right? It's big orange screen, everyone. All right. So, bit about me before I get into it. I am a ISTE certified educator, and I'm also UDL level 2 certified. So this is right up my alley. So when I saw your pitch for your lesson, I was like, oh, this is right up my alley to do this. And so what Shelley had sent to me is that this is currently a 3-hour workshop she's going to be doing this summer. She wants it to be part creative lab, part make and take. The audience that she's going to have in her workshop is going to be K-12 educators, some OT specialists and speech specialists. And currently, do you want to tell a little bit about what your current slides are like?
Yeah, our current slides are just really text heavy. We felt like they're more of a sit and get. We went through the, guidelines, and we did try to make it a little bit more engaging, but it's still a lot for people, we felt like. So we wanted to find a way to just maybe get some hands on things and something they could take away with, a way to use it in their room.
Awesome. Great. So yeah, I saw first of all that you did this last year, so I would not expect this, but this is the old guidelines. And so now I've kind of made what I've
Yes.
made with the new ones in mind as we move forward with the 3.0 guidelines, which is something you requested. And let's just kind of get into it. As I thought about how I might make this whole 3-hour workshop a really engaging experience for your educators, I was keeping in mind not just UDL and not just the ISTE standards, but also really good andragogy practices. So andragogy, if you've never heard that word, is the adult version of pedagogy. So pedagogy is teaching students, which all K-12 educators are experts at. But andragogy, like when we're teaching teachers, is actually like a different animal. And so there's some really important practices for you to keep in mind when you're planning some teaching for teachers. And it has to be really answering their why. How are they going to use this in their practice? How is it going to impact students? And really supporting all those things, making it job embedded so that make and take that you wanted is truly aligns with that andragogy piece of like giving teachers something they can go out and put into practice the next day. So I thought about all those things when I was thinking about this makeover. And I also have a favorite PD book of mine. So, oh, you can see it there. Maybe not, you can't see me, but it's on the screen here. Supercharge Your Professional Learning. This is a book published by CAST, so the UDL group. And I just cannot recommend this book enough. It is my go-to whenever I'm planning any PD, whether it's about UDL or about using Book Creator. This is just my go-to book on planning a session. And the 6 things that they always point out about when you're planning adult learning is that these things are the pitfalls. Like if you don't have clear objectives, if you're ignoring the actual diversity of learners in your room, because students are not just variable learners, adults are too. If it's overloaded with passive learning, which is kind of how you felt your past, thing was as a slide deck, very text heavy. And then lacking the relevance and engagement. So hopefully we'll kind of tweak this workshop a little bit and bring some of these pitfalls to solution. So when I thought about this 3-hour workshop, I thought about first, before they even come in the door, that you would brief them by telling them to bring a lesson of their very own that they want made over. So they're going to do a makeover too, makeover show in the PD. And so you tell them, hey, bring a lesson that you did last year, because this is happening in the summer, that you can remake or revamp, especially if they're coming in there working with their team. Like, team, bring a lesson you guys want to revamp and work on together. So that will be the first before it even happens. And then anytime we have a learning experience, we always want a goal setting at the beginning and a reflection at the end. And we just don't want students to do that in the classroom. We want to do that with our educators too. So I have this goal setting and a reflection at the end. And then between, I kind of have the 3 hours broken up. First one, we're going to do a deep dive of the UDL standards. The second hour, we're going to share out what we did in the first hour. And the third hour is going to be that make and take. So does that sound like a good plan, Shelley?
Yes, excellent. Thank you.
All right. So this is what I thought for the first, like the beginning of the book. So we're going to make a book that every teacher will get. And if you came to my Make It Work Monday last month, you already know about my big trick about making a brand kit. And I'm going to show you that again. So this is the school district's logo. And if we're going to make a cover for this book, we want to kind of get the colors right to make this cover. So I like to come in here, click on the plus sign, and I like to select media, and then I like to select shapes. And then I just like to pick a circle. And I like to bring that to the margins to make my brand kit. So then I click the shape, and I click the inspector, and I want to change it from purple to one of these colors that is in the logo, this gold color. And I'll just click apply. So that gives me the first color of my brand kit. And I just like to duplicate this circle. Ooh. So I have another one, and I want this one. Click the eye. Pick the eyedropper. I'm going to pick the red color and apply. And I'll do it one more time to get the blue color. So now I have these colors that are your district colors, and I'll use those in the design as I go. So making that little brand kit to have a unified look throughout the book is really helpful. All right. So I have this, and I can add a color to this, but let me look in my page templates. So I click on page templates, and I'm just going to search for a fun cover. And let's see. Layouts, covers. For UDL, I'm thinking about my adult learners. It's still summer though. Summer PD is always fun. Maybe I'm going to go with, maybe we're doing it as a travel theme because it's summer, right? That could be kind of fun. So I could come back in here and I could get the logo. I could put it maybe instead of the queen, put it to the side. Maybe I'll put the logo on the stamp. And I'll use the background remover, remove the background. There we go. Not perfect, but still okay. Or maybe I'll redo it. There we go. And then I could come in and I can get that brand kit that I made, and I can kind of change the colors on this page. So this is already templated, but I could pick up these guys and turn them into the colors. And I'm not going to do them all, but I'm just going to show you. I could easily change this, page to look like the colors that match here. So I can update a template easily to match my brand throughout the book. I'm going to have a travel guide, and we're going to go through UDL guidelines. So we're now, this whole 3-hour workshop now has a theme of travel, because everyone at Summer PD really wants to be somewhere else. Don't they, Shelley?
They sure do.
Yeah. So I'll delete the queen, but we can make that cover better later, but that's just a start. All right. So as I said, the very first thing we're going to do is some goal setting. And again, this book has a few goal setting protocols that you can go through. One of my favorite ones that we're going to do here is the WHY protocol, WHY. And so I'm going to find a template in the page templates that's going to work for this protocol. So the W is why do you need to do something different? The H is how do you know this change in practice will make a difference? And then why? What's in it for you? Because that piece for the teachers, for educators, adult learners is like, how is it impacting me? How is this going to make my life better? How am I going to be better teacher for my students? So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to look for, I know we already have a great KWL template that I can use. So I'm going to bring in this one. And remember, this is not KWL. We're doing WHY. So I just have to change this to a W, this to an H, and this to a Y. And then I just change these sub questions to the little sub questions that I'm getting from the book. And so I'm not going to do all of them now, but I would do that. And so everyone's going to get this copy of the book. They all can write their answers in here. Why do I need to do something different with UDL? Why is this important for me to learn in the next 3 hours? How do I know this is going to make a big change? We know UDL is a research-based framework. So we know that when it's implemented, it has impact. And then why? What's in it for me? Like, what am I going to get out of this workshop that's going to make my life as a teacher better? So we do that why, that grounding, that goal setting. As I said, there's like several great options in here. And I'm going to talk about the next two, which can be done at the beginning of PD, which is an anticipation guide. So like previewing the knowledge for the people. And then a choice board. So I've actually kind of done an app smash here with a Genially. Genially is one of our ed tech friends. And this is a learning choice board. So I've just embedded this choice board. They can come in here and they can learn about the 3 different pieces of the UDL framework. You could have given them this book before the workshop and they can preview it a little bit if you wanted. Or they can come in here, maybe you're going to give them 10 minutes at the beginning to kind of explore the framework and find where they can explore it more online. That's another thing you can do at the beginning of the PD. And then a third thing you can do is an anticipation guide. So this is another Genially, and it's just a drag and drop activity where they can think about what's the difference between UDL and what's the difference between differentiated instruction. And everyone can just do this little drag and drop activity, and then you can go over the answers. Kind of, this is UDL might be new to a lot of people in the room, many people in the room, and they've probably done differentiated instruction or heard of that. So kind of comparing and contrasting those is another nice way to start that. So those are 3 options you have at the beginning of your PD to kind of introduce the topic before you get into that deep dive phase. Does one of those like appeal to you the most?
I like the drag and drop a lot. I think our teachers are really familiar with the differentiated instruction, and yeah, I'm a big choice board person too. So
yeah, okay, cool. Well, I'm glad I hit the mark a little bit with that. All right, so now we're going to do the deep dive, which is that first hour of the workshop. And since it's summer again, we're diving. But you told me these are all the tools that your district uses on a regular basis. And so I think that when we're going to talk and train teachers on UDL, we really have to do it through the lens of the tools that we're using, because we not only want to support what UDL is and teach what UDL is, but also show how these tools can support those strategies in the classroom. And so what I thought would be a good way to approach this is to have them do a collaborative group activity where each group takes one of these tools that you guys have. So there'll be a Canva group, there'll be an Edpuzzle group, there'll be a Screencastify group, and they're going to look at that tool through the UDL framework lens. And I have this template that they can all remix right here. And so I've done an example of it with Book Creator. So I've gone through every piece of the updated UDL framework, and I have shown how each piece of the framework is supported by Book Creator or can be implemented with Book Creator. So I've thought about all of our features and I go through, and yes, this is a lengthy book, but it's a nice model for them. And you tell them, we do not expect you to make, every page during this make and take, but think about the go through the UDL framework and think about what you know about that tool. And definitely a good idea to like put a pro of that tool into each group, like someone who's like, yeah, I'm a Canva pro. Yeah, I'm Edpuzzle pro. Yeah, you get those leaders in the groups that really know the tools. And they each make and remix a copy of this book which is then that same book I just showed you, but blank. And they can just take screenshots, they can link support pages, they can just think about that tool and how it supports that part of the UDL framework. And so each group makes their book, and then that second hour, they're kind of digesting it and sharing it out with the other groups. So maybe every group gets, you know, three to 5 minutes to share their book, the things that they think the tool does the strongest. While this tool, maybe they're going to talk about, Canvas, our LMS is really, really important for engagement, but it also provides students some options for representation, right? And then they're going to do action and expression through the assignments they submit. Whereas the Pear Deck group, their presentation is probably going to be all engagement. Like it's all about engaging students in that learning process, right? Whereas Canva is probably going to be a lot about the action and expression part of the UDL framework. So through the different tools, you'll have people emphasizing different parts of the framework, and they'll really get to hear all the different parts. So that was my thought for hour 2, or 1 and 2, I guess, the making and the sharing. And then my thought for the make and take is that they take that lesson that they brought with them that day and think about how they're going to infuse those tools they've just learned about and the UDL framework to make that lesson. Maybe it was just a worksheet before, but now they're going to do something with Canva and Edpuzzle. And they've now gotten these ideas, and they spend the next hour making that they can then take. That was my thought there. What do you think, Shelley?
I love that. I think that that's what they need. They want being able to come take something like that, and like what tool they have, how can they scaffold a PDF to make it more accessible? How can they, make something, better for students to respond, just putting those ideas there for them, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then hopefully they walk away with an hour, is an hour of lesson planning. This is really great if people are working in their teams. So if the 4th grade team works together on a lesson, or the science teachers work together, middle school science works together, 11th grade English teachers are working together. Hopefully they can all walk away with something that's aligned to their standards. They can also do that together, making sure whatever they're creating is aligned, and then have something that they can implement. Hopefully, in the first month of school. I would also tell them the lesson to bring a first month of school lesson, right? Something you're going to do at the beginning, so you can try these things.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we never want to end a PD session without a reflection. And so in Book Creator, we have all these great reflection templates. And one that is actually one that is my go-to and also one of the book is a 3-2-1 reflection. And I think this is a great one because people get to think about what they learned, what they thought was interesting, but the most important part is that one question I have. And so you're going to be able to see if those questions that they leave behind, what kind of follow-up PD you might do, or what kind of things in a tech newsletter you might send out in the future, what questions, in that whole year of follow-up that you can build resources around. And so I think that's always a really important way to end a session is with that reflection piece.
I do too. We usually end with a post quiz in Canvas. So I like having it within the book though.
Awesome. And so this is also just from this book that if you can't see it now, but I have used this over the years. All my Post-its are in here. They have some really great reminders. And one of them is to account for the variability and attend to the variability of the learners in the room. So one thing about delivering this with Book Creator is you may have, and I know that I did as a tech coach, is most of my world languages team was not native speakers, not native English speakers. I had Congo, I had teachers from Central America. And so they could come in here and translate the PD book into their home language and have that barrier reduced for them for language if that was a thing. But also, it can be read aloud to them if they wanted to. They can also just come in here with their ideas in audio and make voice notes to themselves as they're creating things. So lots of ways that they can put UDL into action as a learner through the experience of this session. So Shelley, thanks so much for letting me make over your lesson. I hope that this is something you'll be able to use. I'm going to clean up the book a little bit, and it will be, I'll email it to you, but for everyone else, it will be in this webinar book. I know that David has been putting the link in the chat, so you'll find that book right here after I clean it up a little bit. Other things that I did want to point out today is we have this great lesson from from Ken Shelton on our blog. And he made this great book. If you're trying to bring Black innovation into your classroom, not just this month, but through the whole year, take a look at this book and the blog post that goes along with it. And if you haven't heard, Be an Author Month is this month. And we are having a great webinar on Wednesday with friends of ours, We Will Write. And that is going to be a really great webinar as well. So we hope you'll join us for that one. And if you want to be Shelley one day and be a guest on my Makeover Monday, I have the link here to a Notion form that you can fill out. You do need to be a book creator collaborator. So if you're not a book creator collaborator, just head on over to our community page. And I know that Butler just put it in the chat. Become a collaborator and then fill out the form. And you too could be on my talk show. And I can give you some ideas of things that you can do with Book Creator and the work that you guys do every day. Butler, do you want to come on in and come back on to say goodbye?
Bringing it back. That was fantastic. Shelley, what do you think? What do you think? You got this.
I'm so happy. Yes, I love it. I'm so appreciative. It's going to be so much fun. I'm much more excited about this than the slides.
Good.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear.
The chat, Butler, that I missed?
We had one question come into the Q&A. There was a teacher that they want to use book creators to sort of prep students to take a certification on PowerPoint. And they want to leverage having some screenshots and sort of showing the area that was the correct area to click as if they were taking a test. I don't know that we have direct functionality for that, but you might be able to get creative in having maybe some hot spots that link out to something. Yeah,
I would say, like, if I was just using Book Creator as an example and I took a screenshot of this, right? And then I'm going to bring that image of the screenshot in because he's going to do that, or they're going to do that with PowerPoint, it sounds like, right?
Right.
Or they're bringing PowerPoint. Now, you can keep it kind of basic and you can go to shapes and you can get arrows, you can get circles. Like if I wanted to circle something, yes, it seems like, this does not circle it. But if you go to the inspector, you can turn on the border and I can get a circle. And then I can go to the purple color and say none. And now I've circled something, circled where to click, right? I'm going to highlight, where to click on things with a red circle. Is this what they were looking for, kind of?
Yes, and I think they want to be able to give them a quiz and say, give them a question at the top, say, click on the correct area, and then have that basically give some feedback to say that it was correct or not.
Well, I think what you could do is put the circle over here and say, drag it to where you click, and then
there it is.
Yeah, they're going to do it.
It would not be self-assessed.
Not be self-assessed. That's correct. But you could also come into Giphy, and you could say drag or circle. Sometimes what I like to do, a little more engaging visually. And you could you could put that on the side and say, drag it over.
Drag it over on top of the correct answer. That's not a bad, super bad solution. I do know that one thing that you can do is you might be able to leverage bringing in some app smashy friends here on that one. So there could be a Genially embed here or quizzes embed maybe, but yeah, that was the question that I saw in the Q&A. Do you know if you'll be integrating with the add-on in Google Classroom offering an Education Plus?
I don't know, but I will submit that as a feature request.
Yeah, we do integrate with Google Classroom. You can assign a book creator book using Google Classroom as well as Schoology and Canvas, but I don't know about the Education Plus.
I think with the Education Plus, you would be able to do kind of like we can in Canvas and Schoology and initiate the book from there. Whereas here, you can make the library and share the link in Google Classroom. So I think
I
Devin wants it to happen like it does in Canvas, which makes sense.
okay. I heard some chitter chatter about that becoming a thing, but I don't know. Yeah.
Oh,
Farmer Fobs gets to see Shelly. What is it on Thursday? So that's
Thursday.
fantastic.
Yes, we're looking forward to it.
awesome.
All right.
Well, Shelly, thank you so much for being a guest on our webinar today and letting
Thank
me
you for having me.
take over your slides. And we hope to see all of you on Wednesday at the next webinar with We Will Write.
That's right. We'll be right here. Can't wait. Hope
Thank
to see you
you.
soon.